It must be nice being the champs. One of my good friends in the media space and just like in life, like we text Nick Crane he's an editor for Forbes and he's also the editor for Draft Digest. Either way, the Thunder are NBA champs. And man, they look like a team that is going to be good for the next decade, the next dynasty potentially. And Sam Presti might not be human because the way that this team has hoarded assets and has players, they knew the second apron was coming, or the apron stringent penalties were going to be added, and he's built this team. So the Oklahoma City Thunder aim to repeat. Fresh off a record-setting title run, OKC is locked in with its superstar trio for the long haul. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let me hear your thoughts down below. What are the expectations and your predictions for the Oklahoma City Thunder this coming season? I don't know why I just butchered that. I think I tried putting them together. Oklahoma City stormed to a 68-win season, shattered the point differential record, and captured the 2025 NBA championship with somewhat ease. Just kidding, it was a 7-game series. Now, with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams, aka J-Dub, and Chet Holmgren all secured on massive extensions, the Thunder look built to dominate the league for years. The mission? Defend the crown. They also re-signed J. Will and AJ Mitchell, both to 3-year deals. Now, Thomas Sorber is out for the season. He was their 15th overall pick, and he was the guy that I had said all pre-draft was literally, if you guys had watched my videos, I said the Thunder should draft Thomas Sorber as the perfect guy to replace Hartenstein down the road. Just a good 7'7" wingspan, wide body, rim running, screening big who knows his job. Brooks Barnhizer, right? Looks like the steal of the draft. And they also got themselves a first-round pick through the Kings, and I think that's one of the most awesome things that they were able to do in this draft was also be able to understand the salary cap gymnastics, and that led to obviously Dylan Jones being traded for Colby Jones, who they waived to create a roster spot for Sorber. But Sorber is going to be out for the season, and I believe they can apply for the disabled player exception and now sign somebody in his place and get money. So last year, they were the league best offense and defense by net rating. SGA delivered MVP caliber numbers, and as a result was awarded the MVP. J-Dub and Holmgren established themselves as elite two-way stars. Veteran role players Lu Dort, Hartenstein, Caruso provided the balance that they needed. And simply put, it was a dream season that ended with the Larry O'Brien Trophy. The Thunder looked like a team that, will the financial, rules hit them? They locked in their core with $700 million plus in extensions for SGA, J-Dub, and Holmgren. They added size in Thomas Sorber. Obviously, we know how that ended up. I wonder if they'll go out and do something. But look, they still have Brandon Carlson from last year, and they have a stockpile of future draft picks. Nikola Topic, who was drafted last year and didn't play, will return from ACL surgery. The rest of the roster remains both championship ready and future proof. Now, SGA, J-Dub, Lu Dort, Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Hartenstein, I think he's going to be the starting lineup. Off the bench, it's dealer's choice, but at the guard position, they have Caruso, Kason, Wallace, AJ Mitchell. Then at the wing position, they have Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins. And then at the forwards, Kenrick Williams, Ousmane Dieng. They also have Jay Will. They have Brandon Carlson. A few other guys that I really think when you look at this team, it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be like the breakout guy. So this team is obviously supersized. Like, they're huge. They got hella length, hella size, and that's just from every position, not just Chet being like 7 foot plus, SGA and J-Dub both being like 6'6". They're also all under contract for like what feels like till 2030. They're deep at every position, with Caruso and Wallace being guys who would start on any other team, and a lot of guys off their bench would start on other teams. They just have a draft pick war chest that if they want to make a trade, they can complete or outbid anybody. And the one thing that people might say was like, oh, if SGA or J-Dub or Chet Holmgren get hurt, they might get screwed as they don't have a true star to replace their scoring. I doubt that. Like, I think if any of them gets hurt, they'd still be the title favorites. That's how deep they are. The one thing that we might have to watch is the salary cap gymnastics in 2027 when all the extensions are fully kicked in. But like, I think they're prepared for that, and that's why you have all these picks, because you'll start plugging and playing people. Now, will the young guys, if called upon, who maybe have less experience, will they be, ready? And will Topage stay healthy? And if he is he going to be the guy? I love Topage. I think he's going to be great. So Mark Daigneault has created a system that blends pace, ball movement, and relentless defense. His adaptability stood out in the finals, and his trust and depth keeps players engaged. He's one of the league's safest coaches, now judged only by rings, and we'll see how many he'll have on his fingers when it's all said and done. This team is above the tax, but they're, I believe, below the first apron. Yeah, below the first apron. And they still have the non-taxpayer mid-level exception of $14 million that they can use in a trade. As we mentioned, SGA, J-Dub, and Holmgren all extended. And that the roster decisions that they'll have to make won't have to start till next season. They have the picks to replace any of those guys that they deem too expensive or expendable. Now, Sorber is going to be out for the season, but he was a mobile, wide-body big with great rim protection instincts on a 7'7" frame, about 6'10". He should fit into OKC's defensive schemes, backing up Hartenstein and eventually being his successor. Brooks Barnhizer looks like the steal of the draft, a swingman defender from Northwestern, and smart cookie. Now, he could grow into a rotation minutes guy and maybe be a replacement for someone who becomes too expensive. And then obviously, I think Cason Wallace has shown flashes the last 2 years, and he's poised for a bigger backcourt role. Now, does that mean he could become more expensive and he's someone that in the salary cap gymnastics down the road gets crunched? Maybe, but expect him to have a bigger role. And if there was somebody that entering a pivotal year, that would be Ousmane Dieng. Yes, is Ousmane Dieng entering year 4 of his career, and he actually looked like an NBA player last year. 6'10", 220 pounds. He's someone that, like, I just think he's either going to get traded at some point during the season or he's going to get cut. I just don't know what the expectation there is in terms of, there's a few guys in front of him, and look, nothing against him. I think he was, so I did think like he kind of was a little bit, I know he was a lottery talent, but he was a guy that there was a lot more hypothetical than actual tangible assets. And as we mentioned, Kendrick Williams, Aaron Wiggins, even J. Will, and I feel like Lu Dort, obviously Chet, all those guys have minutes before Ousmane Dieng, so it's just impossible to get that guy minutes. And so will he be able to prove? Now you have Topage coming back, who I remember 2 years ago when in 2023, so this past year is my 3rd year on the NBA circuit. This is my 4th year, and in 2023 I was next to a exec for the Celtics, one of the first guys I met. It was funny because like a year and a half later, I was reading a book that just came out, and he was like quoted, and he didn't know he was quoted. And I like texted him, I was like, nice quote in this book. And he's like, oh, I didn't know I was in that book. I thought that was just a conversation. But either way, this is like 2 years ago. And maybe, 2 years ago. Either way, Topage hadn't popped on people's radars. Like, I had seen the name, and he was telling me that was like his guy, and like he was going to be good. So that's how I found out about him. Everybody, including myself, are singing praises for Topic. So I do believe he's going to be someone that impresses people. What if he ends up being like the rookie of the year? That'd be funny. Like, he could be the secret weapon as he's coming back from the ACL tear. So coming off of an MVP level, or not MVP level, but an MVP campaign and signing an extension, this is the best player in the league this past season, according to the award. I mean, I love SGA. I think SGA was the best player last year. I do believe Jokic is the best player in the world. Is that fair to say? Like, I don't want to discredit Jokic by any means, and I don't want to discredit SGA, but I just want to say that. So SGA will look, I think he cares more to defend his title in terms of being a NBA champion than defending MVP. I think if he wins another MVP, he'd be stoked, and I think he's looking to go back-to-back MVP and champs. But if he had to choose which one, if he could only have one, I think it would be being NBA champs. And with the roster around him as stacked as it is, he has a chance to cement himself in NBA history as the leader of one of the dynasties in NBA history, the one that succeeds the Warriors as, I mean, the next, because it goes Bulls, then I guess Showtime Lakers, then it was Bulls, and then you had, I guess, Lakers again with Shaq and Kobe. Then you had, I wouldn't call the Heat a dynasty. Then you had the Warriors. Now, big picture, how far will the Thunder go? That is a true question. I think anything short of a finals appearance would feel like a disappointment. OKC is young, balanced, and loaded with assets. The only real question is how long can they sustain the dominance once the salary cap gymnastics is forced upon them? So, what are we watching? Can OKC avoid the post-title hangover? Will their young guys crack the rotation, and who will be forced to be traded? And speaking of trades, how will they handle the salary cap gymnastics this coming off season? Or like, will they do anything in foresight, that knowing that they'll have a massive tax bill in 2027 if they don't make any specific changes? And will Topage or somebody else be an X factor? So I think they'll be a 60+ win team. I just don't think they're going to be gunning for 68 wins with the best record. I think they're going to load manage and focus on development and experimenting with lineups this year. Worst case scenario, an injury happens, or a bunch of injury happens, and it derails chemistry. But I still think they finish as a top six seed, except like they would just maybe come in with like lower morale, less like momentum as they did this past playoffs. And the other thing is that I think they're expected to be the best team in the West by wins, be the favorites to win the title in general. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Hit that like and subscribe button if you made it to the end of the video, because you clearly like this content. And what are your expectations and predictions for the Oklahoma City Thunder? I'd like to hear them. That's it for me, guys. Thanks for watching. Ciao.